What's going on, nurse friends? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Layne and I'm a nurse and nurse practitioner student, and it feels so great to be making another video for you guys. I know that it's been a couple of months since my last video. I just wanted to take some time during my winter break to just relax, and I've just been super busy, but I have not forgotten about you guys. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, and as I'm making this video, we are getting super close to 1,000 subscribers, which is huge, you guys. So thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'm gonna have plenty of more content this semester because, guys, I am in my last semester of NP school. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm excited and nervous and unsure, but at the same time, I'm gonna have plenty of content for you guys as I'm going through the process of interviewing, as I'm trying to study for my board exams, and just ways to wrap up clinical. And I'll try to give you guys as much perspective and advice that I can. All right, so for this video, I am actually going to be comparing two study books that were recommended to me, and I think they're kind of two of the most premier FNP study guide books, and I just want to compare the two so you guys can see what my perspective is. If you don't have money to buy both of them, hopefully this video will help you figure out which one you should end up buying. And the two books are the Leik book, which I have right here, and also the Fitzgerald book. And I know you guys have heard me talk about the Fitzgerald book in one of my previous videos, but I want to just compare and contrast. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So I feel like it's very stressful when you're a student and you're on a limited budget, but you're still trying to learn all this information that you got in PowerPoints in class, but you want to figure out how you can have different ways of studying. And it can be difficult to figure out what is going to be the most cost-effective way for you to do that. Now, guys, I have gone through the trouble and I have paid my own money for these two study books through my own journeys of trying to figure it out. So you guys hopefully won't have to unless you want to buy both of the books. So I'm just going to be kind of comparing and contrasting them, and so hopefully you guys can figure out what book is the right one for you. Just so you guys know, I have not been paid or I'm not sponsoring either of these books, so this is my unbiased opinion. And I did buy the Leik book about, I guess it's been about 4 weeks now that I've been using it, versus the Fitzgerald, which I've been using, it's probably been about at least a year that I've been using the Fitzgerald book. So, I mean, I haven't been using the Leik book as long, but I think I've been using it enough that I can kind of have an opinion about it. Okay, so in terms of content, both of them have great content, but it might vary how well you're able to internalize that content based on what your study style is. Now, for the Fitzgerald, I did find that it was more paragraphs. So you definitely need to get a highlighter out and go through the information. There's lots of charts though. I did like the visuals. It didn't feel cumbersome for me to get through the information, but it is a lot more in depth. Versus Leik was a little bit more of bullet points. The book itself, let me pull it over. The book itself, you can see, is a little bit smaller in terms of the length and width of it. So everything is a little bit more compact, and at the end of each chapter, there is kind of a review of this is the high yield information. So what I'm finding with Leik is a little bit more high yield, and the Fitzgerald is kind of like really all you would need to know. It's also high yield, but it's all that you would need to know. And for me, for my studies, in terms of studying for school, I felt like the Fitzgerald was really helpful when it was my first time going through information, and I knew that my school might ask things that are not just the high yield things on my exams to get through. But that's kind of the difference between the two. If you're studying for board exams right now, both of them do have AANP and ANCC information as well. They have nursing theory things. So you're gonna get both aspects of those exams. Now, I will say that if you're in pharmacology right now, I do think that the Leik book has more pharmacology. Now, the pharmacology in Fitzgerald is spread throughout, but Leik has an entire chapter on pharmacology. And so when I was going through this book, it was one of the first chapters. It was a really good review for me, and I was thinking, wow, I wish I had had this in pharm because it's giving me all the high yield pharm stuff and kind of just telling me what's really important that you need to know for pharm. Now, I'm not saying that all the pharm information there is going to carry you through an entire pharm class, But at least when you're studying, it can help guide you to make sure that you don't miss certain key components with pharmacology. Now, in terms of test taking, if you're thinking like, how can I use this when I'm studying for my exams? Like I kind of said before, I think the Fitzgerald is going to be a little bit more helpful if you're in the beginning of your studies and this is the first time that you are reading about this information and you want to kind of go a little bit more in depth so that you can pass your exams for class. Now, the Leik book will still get it done because it has all the high yield information, but it had slightly less, in my opinion, it had slightly less diagnosis. It really had the high yield information. Now, with that being said, I find that the Leik book has been a lot more helpful to me in the clinical setting. This is a book that I wish I'd had with me at clinicals as I was going throughout my program because it's very easy to just quickly refer back to a few diagnoses and what the treatment plans are. I think that the Leik book really lays out what your treatment plan and what labs you would need to get, and it's just very succinct there. Versus Fitzgerald, you're gonna kind of have to read through it to kind of figure out what your next steps would be in a clinical setting. But Leik, I just, in my last semester of clinical, like I am right now, it's so helpful and I bring it with me every single time. I use other resources as well, but the Leik book has been very helpful with that. And I'll make another video about studying for board exams because I obviously have not taken boards yet, so I feel like I can't really speak to that quite yet. But I'm thinking in my mind that Leik is going to be more helpful to me when I'm studying for my board exams because even after actually 1 month with Leik, I'm already doing better on my test review questions. So, practice questions. So for me, when choosing a exam review book, practice questions were extremely key because for me, when I'm studying, I need to feel like I'm practicing the information and like the information is really sinking in and I can see, am I getting these questions right or wrong? So if this is you, you're really going to want to listen to this section. So the Fitzgerald book has over 2,500 questions, and that's including questions in the book as well as online access to I think it's 2 FNP board like practice exams. Okay, but most of the questions are in the book itself. So the questions are sprinkled out amongst the different systems. And in one system, you could have more than 200 questions that they're asking you that you're able to review on different diagnoses. And I found that to be very helpful as I was studying in the beginning of my program because I felt like my school was going to ask me very in-depth questions that weren't just the high yield information. So I really enjoyed to be able to read a section or even read a diagnosis and then be able to do a pretty significant amount of review questions that were based off of the reading. So I know that I was actually retaining things. In comparison, the Leik book, after they also have an online access, it's 6 months access to their online question bank as well. I am not sure how many questions exactly there are on there. I haven't actually used either of these online accesses. I haven't used either of these because I'm trying to wait until I get closer to my board exam to really use all of that. So I'm not sure how many Leik questions that you get, but I know within the book itself, after each chapter, it's seeming like really it's like maybe up to 10 questions each. But also like as I'm in clinical and as I'm reviewing just doing a general review, that's enough for me to feel like, okay, yeah, no, I remember this. So it really depends on where you are in your studies and how important the question bank is for you. And then last but not least is price. What is the price point? Because as students, we're like, okay, I only have a certain amount of money to spend on review stuff, so how can I get the most bang for my buck? Well, let me let you guys know that I just checked today, and these are the prices today on Amazon, okay, guys? So it could change. But the Fitzgerald book is about $90 right now on Amazon. Okay, so not as much as a study review course, but it's still on the pricier side if you don't have a disposable income. Now, the Leik book was around $76, still on the pricier end, but between the two, the Leik book is a little bit more cost effective, or at least depending on what your needs are. So it's just something to keep in mind. I think that both of them have been worth it to me. I don't regret any of the money that I've spent on either of the books. And my overall opinion is it just depends on what your study style is and what you're looking for in an exam review book. I think that the Fitzgerald has definitely, it helped me more so in the beginning of my program, like I said, when I needed to get more in depth into the information. But I think that the Leik book now is really becoming something that I really value as I'm in my last clinical, kind of just trying to review everything. And I think for a very succinct review, Leik has been worth it. Now, that's not to say that I won't use other resources in addition to Leik. We'll see. But that's kind of where I am now. So I hope that this video helped you guys. I hope that it kind of gave you some perspective on the two books. And I think both of them are solid books. I know different people have different opinions, and some people like love Fitzgerald, some people love Leik. I actually love them both for different reasons. But I hope that this video kind of helped you figure out maybe which one you might want to invest in right now, or maybe one that you want to invest in the future. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to have more studying content, as well as FNP board review content coming up soon, guys. So I will see you in the next video. All right, peace.